Hello, hello. Welcome back to the podcast. As always, I'm so glad that you are here. And I'm excited to dive into part 6 of this really powerful series that we're doing right now on the podcast, which is the last 10 foundations. And I'm going to do a quick recap in a bit, but in case you haven't heard, yet anywhere, this summer we are doing something really special. It is our first annual Summer of Freedom. And I am loving this so much that I'm honestly thinking that we might do this each year. And each summer can just be next levels of freedom. And so here's my invitation right from the get-go. If you want to lose weight this summer, and you also want to heal while doing it. Heal your relationship with your body, heal your relationship with food. Come and join me inside of the last 10 because this is what we are doing. And the summer is it is a magical time. It is a perfect time to do this work. And to do this in community is just so powerful. And of course, with expert support, you have unlimited access to the best support in the industry. And so come and join us. Okay, so let's get into this. As a part of Summer of Freedom, I am doing this 7-part podcast series. And today is step 6 of the last 10 foundations. And today I'm going to be talking about training your brain for peace, not urgency. Before we dive in, I am going to ask you to do me a quick favor. If this podcast has helped you and you love what you are learning here, please take a minute to leave me a 5-star review on iTunes and also share this episode with a friend or on social. Okay, so let's do a quick recap here. We are doing the last 10 foundations. So this is essentially like the last 10 101, the foundations. These are the 7 steps. I'm going to do a recap. Today, we're taking a dive into step 6. Quick recap. Step 1, set your goal on purpose. Step 2, decide how you'll eat. Step 3, breaking repetitive old habits, patterns, and cycles that no longer serve you, but without the shame of diet culture. Step 4, diversify comfort, stress relief, and pleasure. Step 5, I talked about last week in last week's episode, and that is to reclaim your power after an effort moment. So incredibly important. It will literally transform your journey. And so today we're taking a deep dive into step 6, which is train your brain for peace, not urgency. Now, it's going to be essential. This piece is essential. And I know that at this point, it can be tempting to just kind of feel a little bit of an eye roll coming on, just like, oh my gosh, Brenda, just tell me what to eat. Come on. I mean, I just want to lose X amount of weight or whatever. But here's the thing. This is the part that most people skip over. And so then that's a big part. This is a huge part of why so many women stay feeling stuck. Most approaches focus on telling you what your workouts should look like or what you quote unquote should be eating. And by the way, I actually don't even think that's a problem. I love working out. I love switching up my workouts and integrating new things and learning new techniques, etc. I also love learning about nutrition. But here's what you need to know. And here's what millions of women have experienced. Neither of those were the solution when I was battling with my weight for a couple of decades, when I was battling with yo-yo dieting, sabotaging on the weekends, emotional eating, and feeling endlessly stuck in patterns of losing weight and gaining weight and losing weight and gaining weight in a way that felt really exhausting. My relationship with food was exhausting, and my weight loss journey felt endlessly frustrating. And the solution was never, oh, here, do this workout. Oh, here's the meal plan that's really going to change everything. And so what I teach you here on this podcast and the work that I do with my clients and what I'm walking you through step by step in this series, the 7 steps, it isn't about quick fixes. It is about rewiring your way of being in this area of your life. When you rewire your way of being in this area of your life and how this area of your life feels, you will then experience it different. And also because you are feeling different, you will make different decisions. Creating change comes from you feeling different. When you rewire your way of feeling in this area of your life, from there, that creates lasting change, not only in your actions and how you make decisions, but of course, in how this area of your life feels. Which, if you're listening to me and if you love listening to the podcast and learning from me, that matters to you. You don't just want physical change or transformation. You do want that, but you also want the internal change and transformation. That's why I talk about freedom. Yes, you may have a measurable goal to lose 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 35, 50 pounds. Insert your own goal. But for you, it also matters your internal world, your internal landscape, how this area of your life feels. You want to be done with that internal battle, the mental battle, the emotional battle, and to actually feel peace, trust, love. And so that is why today we're talking about this piece, which most people completely skip. And that's why they stay stuck. Because we're not just looking at your actions. We're not just looking at what you're doing or not doing. We're looking at how you're being, how you're feeling. We're not just changing what you do. We're changing how you experience your decisions, how you experience, how you feel in this area of your life. Now, most women try to change their habits without training their brain or nervous system, or I should say, retraining their brain, their nervous system. And so if currently in this area of your life, you feel impatient, frustrated, stressed, pressure, those things that I just described don't get changed by just printing out a list of like, oh yeah, here's what I'm going to eat, or I'm going to eat at this time, and then I'm not going to eat at that time. Those are ways of feeling. Those are ways that you are experiencing this area of your life. And so most women try to change the habits. You're able to see on the surface the things you do or don't do. But what is a big, big part of this, which also affects you, and you know this, is the things under the surface, how you feel on the day to day. You feel frustrated, you feel hopeless, you feel disappointed, you feel pressure, you feel overwhelmed. Those are the ways of feeling. And so it is so important to not only focus on changing the doing and changing the habits, but what we're talking about today is training your brain for peace versus urgency, versus feeling disappointed, versus feeling frustrated. We're training your brain for peace. And I think we can also say trust. I'm going to be focusing on peace, but you can also insert trust. I often talk about being free of the struggle, being free of struggling with weight and food. And I think what that looks like when that struggle is no longer there, what is left? Peace. When there's peace, you feel peace in your body. You feel peace to be anywhere, on vacation anywhere. It can be the week or the weekend, and you feel peace and trust when it comes to your decisions around food, how you feel in your body. When you have released the struggle or stepped outside of it and become free of it, what's left is peace. And so really think about what this step 6 is. It's training your brain, and also I would say rewiring your nervous system for peace instead of urgency. If what you've been used to in your weight journey is urgency, pressure, and kind of like this fix it energy, like you have to fix yourself, like there's something wrong with you because you're up a couple pounds today, and there's this fix it energy that there's something wrong with me and now I feel defective. For most women, that is essentially like your default setting. But remember, these are not things we can see. We can see actions. We can't see you experiencing this feeling of pressure that feels heavy on your chest, or this feeling of urgency that feels almost like you can't really feel comfortable in your own skin, or like this fix-it energy that just kind of feels soul-sucking, like, oh my gosh, you're tired of feeling that way. Like you're constantly need to fix yourself, fix your body, etc. For most women, this has become, and in many cases, it's what we've learned in society. This is our default internal setting. It's what we're experiencing internally. The way that we can explain this and break this down through brain science is that it's become a habituated pathway. If you have felt urgency and pressure and overwhelm and just like this sense of not feeling good enough or less than, if we have felt that with repetition, then your body learns to feel that way. And that becomes like the default setting. Think about in your home, if you have an AC unit or a heater, if you set the temperature to, let's say, 75 degrees, and that's where it's set to, it's similar to that. It's like, oh, okay, we've set the thermostat to urgency, pressure, overwhelm, inadequacy. We have to change that. And in order to do that, we can create change through retraining your brain and also retraining your nervous system. Because if your brain is wired for urgency, think about when you're feeling this sense of urgency, like, oh my gosh, I need to lose, there's this wedding coming up in July, and I really want to lose 20 pounds by that day. If your brain is wired for urgency, a lot of the actions that follow are driven and fueled by that urgency, panicky feeling. And not only is it not effective and typically breeds sabotage, it also isn't peace. So what most women try to do, let's say there is an event coming up and you have a goal, most women try to change their actions with more rules, more willpower, more white knuckling, and more frustration, because then it's like, oh, why can't I just stop snacking at night? Why can't I just stop, having sweets at the end of the day, or drinking more wine and desserts than I planned on the weekend? So it's just more trying to utilize more willpower, more pressure, more frustration. It really isn't helpful. And again, I want to reference this really powerful metaphor of a thermostat that's been set. That's what's going on for so many women. That's where my thermostat was set. My thermostat was definitely set to this whole weight loss thing is something that needs to happen fast, because I need to fix myself fast and change my body fast. It felt like an emergency. Weight loss felt like an emergency. And because of that, everything was so intense, so emotional. I experienced so much pressure, also feelings of inadequacy. That's what my thermostat was set at. And from that thermostat setting, it just breeded sabotage. There was just sabotaging patterns of overeating, of saying F it, which I talked about last week in part 5. And we took a deep dive into that. And emotional eating, because those are a lot of intense emotions. And so then I needed an outlet for those emotions, which just happened to be food, which was familiar. And so it was not effective. And so as you're listening to me, it is very likely that your thermostat is also set to similar settings of urgency, of frustration, of inadequacy, of fixing, of I need to do this really fast. I needed to lose these 10 pounds yesterday. And it can feel really, really hard to change that, even if your intention is, I want to feel peace in my life. I want to feel love for my body and myself. I want for this area of my life to feel not struggly, not all these intense emotions like worry and fear and inadequacy. And so what needs to happen is to retrain your brain and your body to feel safe, to be able to feel a different feeling state. Like I said earlier, I'm going to really focus on peace here, to be able to feel peace, the lack of struggle, the lack of urgency. Peace, we can also say trust, we can also say love, right? Insert how it is that you desire to feel, that's what you want to retrain your brain and body to feel safe, to feel that way instead. Because again, if the default setting and the thermostat, so to speak, is set to panic and overwhelm and pressure and urgency, it can feel challenging to change to, oh, now I want to feel peace and love and trust and at ease. And what I have found, both in my own life personally and at this point in my career working with hundreds and hundreds of women, is that we need to train our brain and our body to feel safe, to feel these new ways, to feel safe and regulated, to feel these different feeling states. Can be called nervous system repatterning or rewiring. And inside of the last 10, we do this work. We do this, and you can do this inside a community that is just full of brilliant women that are dedicated to healing and creating results, yes, creating new breakthroughs, yes, but to doing it in a way that makes their life better, that makes their relationship with themselves better, that makes their relationship with food better, that makes their relationship with their bodies more loving and better. And to do this work in a way that empowers them in this area of their life. Inside of the last 10, we do this where we're retraining your brain at a very neural level and retraining your nervous system through somatic techniques, somatic tools. We do this through emotional processing. We do this through nervous system regulation tools and techniques. My clients learn well over a dozen. In fact, I think I can almost say close to 24, but it's not quite 24, but well over a dozen different tools and techniques for doing this nervous system repatterning, really retraining your brain and your body to feel safe, regulated, to feel peace, to feel trust, to learn to feel different. When peace becomes your baseline in this area of your life, these decisions that feel aligned and loving and that support your goals follow along naturally. They then happen as a byproduct of peace becoming your baseline. So I'll give you an example for myself, and I could give you so many client examples. When I really learned to actually feel peace at home in my body, that completely changed the reasons why I ate. I was no longer reaching for snacks in the pantry in the middle of the night, feeling like I was desperately seeking a way to comfort myself, or due to so much frustration with myself or my body, me being able to feel different, me being able to have my thermostat, my internal thermostat, set at a different baseline of peace, of trust, of love, that led to me making different decisions. And not because I was trying to utilize more willpower. It didn't feel that way at all. The change felt and was deeper than that and more lasting than that, because I had truly changed my thermostat. My internal thermostat was no longer urgency or worry or inadequacy. My internal thermostat now was peace. And like I said, we do this work inside of the last 10. We do this through somatic tools and techniques, emotional processing, nervous system regulation, and you are well supported through your process. You have unlimited access to coaching Monday through Friday. Also, an added note, you also have lifetime access to all of the curriculum, which, by the way, in case you haven't heard this before, I just spent the last year essentially completely updating and enriching the last 10 curriculum. And by the way, it was already amazing. Now it's just even more holistic and organized and amazing, because I just have been doing a decade now. It's going to be a decade coming up here real soon of this is what I've dedicated. My work is supporting women in this area of their life, specifically to address this in a way that not only addresses behavior, which we can see on the outside, or results, which we can see on the outside, measurable results, right? Like having lost 10 physical pounds or 20 or whatever, but also changing how this feels internally on the inside. So I want you to imagine for you, even if all that changed was that your internal thermostat, instead of being urgency, dissatisfaction, pressure, overwhelm, never quite feeling enough, how valuable is that for you if your internal thermostat setting became peace, trust, love? And how much would that change your decisions, your behavior? And then how much would that change your results? So here's some examples. So we can give you some practical examples here. Think about how often you have your goal and you're moving towards it. And then let's say one morning you step on the scale and your weight is up and you're feeling urgency and panic even and stress and disappointment, and you feel mad at yourself, that then you respond and you react from that panic, from that urgency, and think about what that looks like compared to what would it look like if you were responding and making decisions from trust. It is a game changer, not only in your internal experience, but also in your decision making and then your external results. Consider how different things would be and feel, because this matters to us. This matters to you. Yes, you want results. You also want this area of your life to feel different, because the mental and emotional battle of it all is exhausting. And you also want to change how that feels internally. Imagine if instead of constantly feeling like you need to fix your body, you just almost felt like you were connected to this ongoing IV of just loving and taking care of your body. How would that change things? I'll tell you how it changes things. It changes everything, and it is priceless. And that is step 6. It's really, we are talking about retraining your brain from urgency to peace. I want you to consider one more thing here and one more example. I want you to imagine that you no longer eat to escape discomfort or stress, right? Stress eating. And instead that you know how to be with yourself in these moments of your life where there is maybe a challenging situation, or where maybe it is a big season of transition and uncertainty. You know how to be your own companion as you navigate through seasons like that with peace, with trust, with love. How different would your self-care look like? And how different would this feel? And let's make sure to name what needs to be named here. If we're going to talk about this, this cannot be left out. Let's talk about diet culture, patriarchy, white supremacy culture, and colonization, and what role they have played in this hardwiring women into urgency, into hustle, into never enough. Because if you've been feeling this almost default setting of urgency that then leads to sabotage and giving up on yourself and then feeling frustrated, all of that isn't just a personal habit. It is not a personal flaw. You do have tons of power there. And of course, we have the ability to transform it. But let's name this, because it matters. When you come to this podcast, I want to make sure that we are naming things that really empower you so that you can create change from a place of power. This isn't just personal habits. And we can really start as women not feeling like, oh, I'm just personally flawed. A lot of this is collective conditioning, or we can also call it social conditioning. We have been taught, as I mentioned, diet culture, patriarchy, white supremacy culture, or supremacy culture, and colonization. We have been taught to measure our worth by productivity, thinness, speed, how much can you get done, and sacrifice, putting others first before yourself and also self-sacrifice and suffering in order to be worthy, in order to be deserving. There's been this collective conditioning, social conditioning of more, faster, faster, faster is better, better, better in order to be worthy, worthy, worthy. And of course, depending on who you are as an individual, you will have different interactions with each of these things. So I'll give you an example. Myself, as first generation Mexican American, so my family, my origins from my family in Latin America, there is a deep history of colonization there. And of course, there's also the influence of patriarchy and white supremacy culture. But everyone, each of us, depending on our own individual experience and life, and just like who you are as a human, will have a different interaction with each of these pieces. And so we call that intersectional feminism. And so for each of us, it will be different and it will look different and it will feel different. But overall, these pieces, this collective conditioning, this social conditioning, it's kept us as women disconnected from our bodies and from peace. When we are disconnected from our bodies and from peace, because there's the more, faster, 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 productivity, speed, self-sacrifice in order to earn worthiness, essentially, right? In order to quote unquote be successful, those things don't usually play nice with peace. Those things usually contribute to urgency and really teach urgency as the default state of being and this way of feeling and being. And so it is a learned response. Urgency is not our natural state. It's a learned response. And so inside the last 10, and what I'm unpacking today in this episode, part of this is to unlearn that. And how beautiful that we get to unlearn it and together in community as women who have in our own lives felt the harm of all of that in our own lives, in our own self-care, in our own behaviors, and in the way that we feel. And I love the work that I do with my clients because I can see just how brilliant we are as women and how powerful that we really can be generational change makers, that you really can, even if this has been the case for so many women that have came before us, having learned urgency, having learned this feeling of functioning from survival and not enough and never enough, we can actually change that. And part of that is understanding, right, that it is not a personal flaw, that it is not just you as a person, this one isolated personal habit. But again, very important, we're not saying you don't have the power to change it, you do. Part of the empowerment piece is to understand it at this level so that you don't feel like this heavy shame of like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? Instead, oh, of course, this is totally what I've learned. And also, I am powerful. And also, here's why I want to change this for myself. And also, let me equip myself with somatic tools, strategies, techniques, nervous system regulation tools so that I can be able to access, instead of constant urgency, stress, overwhelm, this feeling of like constantly chasing, never enough, I can actually learn and feel safe to feel peace and trust and love and create change from this place. So here's some questions that you can reflect with. And by the way, if you're not joining any of my program or my courses, so I have the last 10. I also have She Creates Freedom, which is a 30-day course that you can take yourself through. But the last 10 is definitely my coaching program where you have coaching support, unlimited access to coaching, personalized support. But if you are not signing up or joining any of my programs or courses, what I recommend you do is you literally apply what I teach here, but really apply it. really apply it. So even when I offer these prompts, these journaling prompts, grab your paper, answer these questions, and watch that help change things and create change. So here's one question you can ask yourself. When it comes to my weight loss, what is the dominant feeling state that my brain is wired for right now? What is the dominant feeling state that my brain is wired for right now? Next question. What would change if my baseline state was calm, confident, connected? Another thing I want you to consider here is that so much emotional eating happens when we are seeking to regulate ourselves, to comfort ourselves, to self-calm. And then food becomes the way that we are reaching for in order to achieve that. And so also, as I am unpacking, training your brain for peace, not urgency, consider how much that would change for you when you are no longer reaching for food as a way to self-calm, because your thermostat is set at peace and calm and trust. And I want to add an important little note here. As I'm unpacking this and we're going through it really in depth, I don't want to paint the picture that like this is life is always unicorns and rainbows. I'm not saying that once you do somatic work, that once you do emotional processing and you have nervous system regulation tools, I'm not saying that life is always 100% you are feeling in a state of peace and calm blissfully 24/7. That's not what we're saying here. You still get to be a human that has a human experience, which includes all kinds of emotions. But what I'm talking about here is you are really rewriting your baseline. You are really rewriting your baseline. It's going to be different when your baseline is urgency, worry, overwhelm, pressure, stress, that you are constantly feeling all of these feelings when it comes to making decisions about food or your weight loss goal, and you feel stressed and overwhelmed, and you put pressure and you feel the pressure and you feel this never-ending urgency. And if that's your baseline, it is life-changing when your baseline. Instead, your baseline, you'll still be a human with a human experience, but your baseline is now trust, is now peace, is now love. And so what I just unpacked in this episode, this is how you become not only the woman who has lost some weight, but also the woman who no longer struggles with weight, who no longer struggles with food. Both, because we're addressing the internal. We're addressing how your brain is wired, how your nervous system state. We're addressing the thermostat setting of your internal emotional world, your feeling state, the state of your nervous system. And so part of this is really shifting out of survival mode. That's that fight or flight, and no longer staying stuck there. This transforms self-care. This transforms your decision making. The decisions you make when you are feeling in a state of calm and peace and trust, those decisions look so different than when you're feeling panicked and urgency and stress and overwhelm. And so this is how lasting change actually happens, which that matters. That matters because that's part of your goals, is to change the way you're doing things and to change your results. So this is a big part of how lasting change actually happens. And it's also addressing your internal emotional experience. And that matters. That matters, because I'm going to give you a mic drop moment coming up. Are you ready? Here's a mic drop moment right here. Your peace isn't a reward for losing weight. It's the foundation for losing weight. Ooh, that is so, so good. That is so, so freaking game changing. Your peace, you being able to feel peace, isn't a reward for losing weight. It is the foundation. And I will say even more specifically, it is the foundation for a weight loss that is loving, that is based in your power. It's a weight loss that is done in a way that it makes your life feel better, not a weight loss where you're like trying to quote unquote fix yourself. And so this is exactly how we do weight loss inside of the last 10. It's not just about what you eat. That is part of it. That's some of the behaviors. That's some of the doing. It's also about your experience and how you are able to be and feel and how your brain is wired and how you're able to regulate your nervous system and feel and access peace and trust and calm, regardless of where you are on your weight loss journey. I want you to imagine being able to access peace and calm, whether you are 50 pounds away from your goal, 3 pounds away from your goal, or you already have achieved your goal. Because that's another thing. I'll make a quick note on this here, and then I'll wrap up this episode. And then next week we have the 7th part and the last episode of this series. But very often, I have a lot of clients that come to me and they join the last 10, and this is the work they're doing, where they have approached their weight loss through stress and overwhelm. And like, I pretty much need to, earn I'll feel peace once I have lost the weight, and I'll feel trust once I have lost the weight, and I'll feel good enough and adequate once I have lost the weight. But what happens for so many women is they lose the weight, and then once they achieve their goal, they are feeling stressed and overwhelmed and pressure because they're like, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to keep it off? Am I going to be able to do this? Can I trust myself? And so it's really, really important. What I said earlier, I told you it was going to be a mic drop moment. You're not holding it up like a dangling carrot, like as if peace is going to be the reward at the end of losing weight. Let it be your foundation. Let it be part of your core, strong foundation as you are losing weight. Here's one of the best pieces of news that I'm going to share with you is that if this is the path, if peace is part of the path, if peace is part of that foundation, then it also gets to be part of just enjoying the results you've created and the transformation you've created. In other words, then you already so good at feeling peace. Also, once you've achieved your goal, and then also as you are maintaining and enjoying those results, because it is a huge misconception that urgency and worry and fear and criticism is going to be the path to your goal. That's going to be the path for you to arrive at your weight loss goal. And then all of a sudden, once you arrive there, it's going to feel great and filled with peace. No, if your path there is urgency and worry and fear, that's probably what it's going to feel once you arrive. That's often, I should say, what it feels once you arrive, because then you start worrying and thinking, oh my gosh, what if I can't do this? What if I mess it up? And so peace, I'm going to say it one more time, isn't a reward for losing weight. Let it be the foundation for losing weight, because you deserve to feel more peace. And I think part of when I share client stories with you and client testimonials, and my clients write about their experience, having learned through the last 10 curriculum and experienced the coaching, something that one of the words that comes up the most is peace and peace and peace and peace and love and trust as well. But peace is a huge part of it. And I want you to know, because so many women don't know, I didn't know, that peace could be part of the package deal. That peace could be part of what I experienced. I want you to know that you deserve that, and that we literally are raising the bar on this whole thing, on this whole weight loss thing. We are raising the bar. And so this is exactly the kind of coaching that happens inside of the last 10, nervous system rewiring that we do inside of the last 10. Inside of the last 10, you don't just learn how to approach food in a way where it doesn't feel like you're just following a bunch of rules and just doing, yet another diet. You really get to rewire how this area of your life feels. And you will train your brain for peace. You will rewire for peace so that you in this area of your life can experience, yes, results, yes, changing habits and the way that you do things, but also this area of your life at a baseline based in peace, and no longer at a baseline based in struggle. All right, my sister, I invited you at the top of the episode. Come and join me inside of the last 10. This summer, we're doing something really, really special. We're doing Summer of Freedom. Don't wait a single day more. If you have been listening to the podcast and you're like, oh my gosh, yes, this is exactly how I want to change things. This matters to me. I want to do it this way. Come and join me inside of the last 10. Just go to brendalomelli.com. If you want to lose weight this summer, but you also want to heal while doing it. You want to heal your relationship with your body. You want to heal your relationship with food. Come and join me and our amazing community of women inside the last 10. This summer, we're doing something super special. I already mentioned it, but Summer of Freedom, freedom from repetitive old habits, patterns, and cycles, freedom from weight that doesn't feel good for you, freedom from self-sabotage, limiting beliefs, old identities, freedom from anything currently holding you back or keeping you small or keeping you hiding in this area of your life. Come and join me and our amazing TL10 community this summer. Go to brendalomelli.com. I would be honored to support you, and it will be such a joy. All you have to do is go to brendalomelli.com. You'll click on TL10, go to the very bottom of that page. There's different options there. You can either pay in full, or you may decide that for you, it's best to opt for monthly payments. Click whatever is best for you, complete your payment. And as soon as you join, you get instant access to your first lesson. You get instant access this week. Like this week, you could be with me on a coaching call. So I can't wait to meet you. I can't wait to work with you and support you. I can't wait to see you inside. Talk to you soon.